with Tim Gilbert and Julie Snook. This is Racing Dreams.
Yeah, and they really do come true. Racing dreams do come true. It is the start of the Autumn Carnival, Jules.
Autumn has officially arrived. Timmy, good morning to you. Good morning to you at home. A very big day of racing here in Sydney at Rosehill Gardens. The sun is shining. It is looking absolutely picture perfect out there.
Yeah, big show on the way.
Glitz, glamour and sunshine galore. Autumn Racing Carnival launches in style here in Sydney.
What about star 2-year-old Cylinder? This colt, last week's big win, has him favourite for the Golden Slipper. We're going to catch up with James Cummings.
And we sit down with the man tasked to lead the Racing New South Wales stewards. A big job indeed, Steve Relton.
Absolutely, yeah, that's a great chat. Really interesting guy, actually travelled the world. Now, Sydney's Autumn Racing Carnival gets underway, as we just mentioned, at Rosehill Gardens today with Ladies' Day. That's why we're wearing the pink, of course.
Colour coordinated, it's very lovely. Speaking of colour coordinated, a man who is always looking absolutely sharp is Mr. Ray Thomas, the racing editor of the Daily Telegraph. Good morning to you, Ray.
Yeah, good morning, Jules. Good morning, Timmy. And yeah, you're right, guys. A magnificent autumn day in Sydney. Hardly a cloud in the sky. Very light breeze out here at Rosehill. Track looks in magnificent order for the opening day of the Golden Slipper Festival, and can't wait for this afternoon, guys.
Yeah, and we're going to talk to Michael Friedman shortly, because this is the last chance saloon, really, for some of the 2-year-olds to get into the Golden Slipper. And Blanc de Blanc has done everything but get into the Golden Slipper, impressing in all those races, really.
Yeah, she's got form all around the good fillies this season, hasn't she, Tim, including Learning to Fly, who's the Golden Slipper second favourite at the moment. But luck's just deserted Blanc de Blanc so far in a short career. I'm sure Michael lament just how bad her luck has been so far. And again, she's drawn awkwardly today in the Magic Night Stakes. As you said, Timmy, she's in a must-win situation to get into the Golden Slipper next week. She deserves to be there. She's good enough to be very competitive in a Golden Slipper, but she'll need a touch of luck to go her way for once this afternoon in the Magic Night Stakes.
What about the colts in the Pago, Ray? What are your thoughts on this one?
Look, I've always had an opinion of Shinzo, Jules, and I think today is the day. I think last start at Randwick when he was on the inside of horses, only his second start, I don't think he quite knew what he needed to do to win that race, or at least get closer. He ran second in the end. Today he's drawn a nice barrier. I think James McDonald can find some cover, can get to the outside in the straight. He's a beautiful looking colt. There's no doubt he's a talent. I think he'll unleash late, and I think Shinzo can win the Pago and get into the Golden Slipper next week.
Passive Aggressive won the challenge last week. Eduardo was such a head bobber. And then we saw this flashing finish by Giga Kick. Big eyes today on Flemington with the Newmarket. It's almost like an Everest preview early.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's a great field, isn't it? And we've got the only horse so far in the Everest in 2023, and that's Marzu, who's resuming in the Newmarket. Tim and Jules, only one horse in over 100 years has won a Newmarket first up, and that was Redkirk Warrior in 2017. But he's an elite sprinter, Marzu. He showed that last spring. He was placed in the Everest. He won't be too far away. I Wish I Win was enormous first up in the Lightning, running second to Coolangatta. He might be the next big thing, and we know how good Private Eye is up the straight at Flemington. Remember that win in the Gilgai last spring when he resumed? He's a dynamic horse, fresh. This is some Newmarket, guys.
Yeah, speaking to Sammy Clipperton and the Snowdens earlier in the week, they're really excited to see Marzu come back, and they're feeling so confident with him this autumn.
I spoke to John Massari yesterday. He talked about excitement. That horse is an excitement machine.
Yeah, rightly so. It's incredible that we're talking about the Everest this time of year. But Ray, just on some news throughout the week that's filtered, or that we saw come through earlier this week, James McDonald, of course, 6-week suspension. We'll have that hearing take place on Monday. What are your thoughts on that situation? Are we likely to see him miss this slipper?
Look, we'll know more, obviously, after the appeal on Monday. It's a 6-meeting suspension, Jules. So at this stage, if he misses the Golden Slipper, he'll be back for the Tancred Stakes. But don't rule him out. Look, the incident last Wednesday after the last in the Kenzo wasn't good. Fortunately, Amy McLucas on Look Only didn't fall. James McDonald just look, he admitted he was careless and he admitted his guilt to that charge, but maybe he can get a meeting or two shaved off, which means he'll be back for the Golden Slipper. He certainly wants to be there. Of course, he's booked to ride Cylinder in the Golden Slipper at this stage. And there's another horse next weekend he's desperate to ride, Jules and Tim, a champion called Animo. So a lot hinges on Monday's appeal.
Yeah, we've got James Cummings on the show today because Animo, just a few races to go and end up in a Royal Ascot. Wouldn't that be a finish for this mighty horse that, of course, came second in the Golden Slipper? Now, the Coolmore Classic, what do you think, Ray?
Every year, Timmy, you do your top 4 selections for the newspaper and you're almost embarrassed to leave out some of the really good mares that are in this field. It's the same again this afternoon. It's a typical Coolmore Classic. It's very wide open, but look, I'm really taken by Hope in Your Heart. I thought she was fantastic first up in the Guy Walter. This mare has gone to a new level this season. This afternoon's race is over the Rose Hill 1,500 metres, and back in the spring, she ran an outstanding 4th to I Wish I Win in the Golden Eagle. That's a terrific form reference for a Coolmore Classic. As I mentioned, that Guy Walter win first up was super. One thing about her, she'll try her heart out, and I think Hope in Your Heart certainly at the very least will be in the finish, but it's such an open Coolmore. I'd hate to talk you out of any horse you like because it's that sort of race, guys.
And a record number of international horses visiting Sydney this autumn as well, Ray, from the UK, Ireland, Japan, New Zealand. We'll see some of them in action today as well.
Yeah, we'll see Purple Pay in the Coolmore and Protagonist in the Sky High Stakes. Look, I guess the firm track, that's the query because I'm standing on the Rose Hall course proper and it is pretty firm for this afternoon's meeting. They may not have struck a track quite as firm as this over in Europe, but they've got one thing in their favour, both horses. They're trained by William Haggis. He's got an extraordinary strike rate in the Sydney Autumn Carnival. He's had 8 runners over the last 3 years. He's won 5 races, 3 at Group 1 level. So what that tells me is the horses that William Haggis, the English trainer, brings to Sydney are the right type of horses. So Purple Pay's got great form around alcohol free. That's as good a form as you can get for mares in Europe. And Protagonist, he's entered for the Doncaster and the Queen Elizabeth Stakes. So if he's going to be a chance in either race, he'll measure up this afternoon in the Sky High. So I guess what I'm trying to say is William Haggis doesn't bring these horses down for fun. So watch out both these internationals this afternoon. And as you said, Julie, it's a precursor of what's to come. The Canterbury House quarantine facility's got the house full sign up. A couple of Japanese are due to arrive next week. The internationals are here in force this autumn.
Yeah, absolutely. Ray, always good to chat. A sparkling day in Sydney's Golden West for the start of the Autumn Racing Carnival. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much, guys.
Now, the Sydney Autumn Racing Carnival features 18 Group 1 races with more than $41 million in prize money, making it Australia's richest autumn racing carnival.
This week we celebrated 6 weeks of world-class racing, fashion, hospitality and events at the official launch. I went along. Let's take a look. It feels like summer, but autumn has officially arrived.
I know it's pretty hot autumn, start to the autumn.
It doesn't feel like autumn, Julie. It feels like summer at the moment. We are absolutely schwitzing here. It is really warm, but it was a really lovely launch, and you certainly feel as though the Autumn Racing Carnival is back with a bang.
Debbie Kapitas, what do we make of the trophies in front of us here?
Oh, aren't they beautiful? They're the history of the ATC.
The Sydney Autumn Racing Carnival features an incredible 18 Group 1 races with total prize money of $41 million, making this Australia's richest autumn racing carnival.
We have the best horses, we have the advantage of northern and southern hemisphere breeding, we have the best jockeys, we have 3 out of the corner of my eye, Sam Clipperton, Regan Bayliss and Brenton Abdullah. And they are representative of the strongest jockeys room in Australia. We have the best facilities. Royal Randwick for members and for corporate guests has always enjoyed the best of reputations, but now we have the wing stand, courtesy of Racing New South Wales.
The Golden Slipper, learning to fly. This is very exciting for you guys.
Yeah, very exciting. She's sort of one of the leading fancies. She's going into the race unbeaten, 3 from 3. So at the moment, she doesn't know how not to win. So it's just a case now of, you know, keeping her, keeping everything smooth, a good passage now into the slipper in 2 weeks' time, because it's a tough race. It's the hardest 2-year-old race in the world to win, and it's the race that I really, really want to win.
Lazargo, what a filly.
Oh my God, how excited are we? My daughters, they did the selection last year because I was laid up with a sore back, and they're just beside themselves. You know, everybody says you go into racing with dreams. Well, we're living the dream.
Who are we liking the look of for the Golden Slipper this year?
Oh, I'm sticking with Learning to Fly. I have to. I don't have to, but I just think she's super tough. She was unbeaten. She only won her last start narrowly on Saturday, but what she has is she's got this tough attitude, and if she goes into the race as good as she's been going into her past 3 runs, then she is going to make her presence felt for sure.
If I had my choice, I'd probably love to ride the colt that won on Saturday, Cylinders. Obviously, I've had a bit of luck with the good Olphin Blue, and he was probably the one that stood out the most to me out of the horses I've ridden. So, yeah, if I had one in the race, I'd love to be on the back of him.
I've got a couple of horses to look forward to. A horse called Marzu. He just seems to be a really the whole package now. It never has been the whole package in his career. He's always been very talented, but taken a lot to get him settled and do things right. But I think now, this year and next year is probably his time where he can really, really make his presence felt. And I think that's exactly what he'll do this autumn carnival.
Any race day superstitions for those big occasions?
I often get superstitious as to where I stand. If I win a race, when I'm standing in a certain spot, I try and stand there again, but it often doesn't last long. When they lose, you move to the next spot next time.
It was phenomenal to have Huey come back and be able to ride her and get her to win the Sweet Embrace, which is the Sweet Embrace. My dad and Jack actually raced the horse called Sweet Embrace. So to have that, the win that gets her straight into the slipper, look, there's just so many things aligning. It's just a bit scary, it's a bit spooky. I'm so superstitious, but oh look, we're there. Dreams alive.
Did you hand the script to Debbie Peters and just say, it's called Racing Dreams? Please, can you mention it a few times?
Would you like to be in our promo here?
Yeah.
Well, Michael Friedman knows the euphoria of Golden Slipper glory, of course, winning with Stay Inside in 2021. Who can forget that incredible day?
Oh, absolutely. He's still got a smile on his face, and this is more about last Saturday and that win by Communist. He's at his stables at Randwick. That was quite a win, Michael, last Saturday. I was out there.
Yeah, morning Tim, morning Julie. It was a big thrill, that's for sure. One of those big miles at Randwick, they're always good to win, and for a horse we bought as a yearling and good bunch of owners in it, so it was a great day for sure.
I think it was Zach Purton himself that said James McDonald bought him a taxi fare straight to the airport to get him on out of Sydney.
Yeah, I mean, it was Zach's obviously world-class rider, and we were kind of fortunate, I think, when Jason Collett sort of got injured, who'd ridden Communist previously, and Zach was coming out to ride my brother's horse, Artorias. So Henry Field rang me and sort of said, look, if he's coming out to ride Artorias, why don't you put him on Communist? And I thought that was a good idea, and he certainly couldn't have given him a better ride. Be nice to see him back here permanently at some stage, but we might be waiting a while. Yeah, just a little while maybe. Henry's flying himself at Newgate, of course. Now, Blanc de Blanc. I know many of the owners of Blanc de Blanc, and she's a cracking 2-year-old. Hasn't had a lot of luck. Last Chance Saloon today, wide gate. What are you thinking? Hoping for the best. Again, yeah, it's been pretty well documented. She just hasn't had any luck with the draws at all. But look, it is what it is. We've got best rider in the world on her, and I think the best thing we can do is just sort of leave it up to him. He'll work out, the best place he can find after they've gone a furlong or two, and hopefully he can get a little bit of luck from there, get some cover on her, and and just give her the opportunity to sort of run up to her best and try and win away into the slipper next week.
Kieran Maher's filly Steel City is going in as favourite. What are your thoughts on the field today? How could this one play out?
I think, you know, it's a pretty open race, I think, in the top sort of 5 or 6 in the market. I think obviously, you know, Kieran's filly's going to get a pretty soft run from barrier 1. So, yeah, I think, you know, it'll come down to sort of luck in running, really. There's probably 4 or 5 genuine chances in the race. My filly being one of them. As I said before, we'll just have to hope we can sort of find a good spot somewhere.
What about Daytona today?
Oh, look, the race has probably come up a little stronger than I thought it would initially. He's probably, you know, right up to his limit in a race like this, but he's in very good form. He's a very genuine horse, and you know, I'm sure he'll give a good account of himself. Whether he's quite got the class against a couple of those others in that race, probably not, but I'm sure he'll give his all.
Just in terms of the slipper field and how it's shaping up, what are your thoughts? And I mean, the Godolphin colt, he's been so impressive, but you also got Annabelle Neesham's filly coming through as well. What are your thoughts on how it's all shaping up for 2023?
I think at the moment it's a very open race. I haven't seen any 2-year-old yet that's sort of, you know, blowing my hair back, so to speak. You know, I think there's any one of probably 8 or 10 still in the race at the moment that you could make a good case for. I think it could well be one of those years where it comes down to luck of the draw in barriers and luck in running. I think in some previous years there's been some real standouts and sort of regardless of barriers they look like the genuine winning chance, but I don't think that's the case this year. I think it's pretty wide open at the moment.
Stay inside blew your hair back, mate. I was there and I was talking to you not long after the win. It is quite extraordinary to get a golden slipper.
Oh yeah, look, it's one of those great races on our calendar that you know, I think if you ask most trainers, it'd be a race they'd love to try and win, and it was certainly a big thrill to win it 2 years ago. We had a runner last year, but you know, the wet track probably brought Queen of the Ball undone. And obviously, you know, today we're trying to sort of get into the race again. But oh, look, it's one of those time-honoured races. It's a very significant race on our calendar for fillies and colts from a breeding perspective. So yeah, as I said, it's one of those races any trainer would love to win, and you know, hopefully we can try and have another crack this year.
Well, it'd be nice to see that smile stay on your face, Michael. How are you feeling this morning?
I'm pretty relaxed. You know, I am someone that can get a bit wound up on race days from time to time, but I'm pretty relaxed this morning. I think I know I've got a good filly. It's just going to be a matter of how the race pans out. So, you know, I'm going there cautiously optimistic, I suppose you'd call it.
Well, you're doing a brilliant job, mate. Congratulations with last week. All the best today. And we appreciate you coming on the program.
Thank you.
And coming on the program on grand final day is what you trainers do when you come and talk to us. We appreciate it.
No problem at all.
Thanks, Michael. All the best. Well, stay with us. Coming up, we're live to the Portelli stables as Gary and his superstar filly Fireburn prepare for today's Far Lap Stakes.
Oh, it's hard to believe, but next week marks 1 year since we saw Fireburn take out the Golden Slipper in sensational fashion.
It was the second slipper for trainer Gary Portelli, who of course won the richest race for 2-year-olds back in 2017 with She Will Reign. He joins us now. The reigning slipper champ is with you there. Good morning to you, Gary.
Morning, team.
So there she is, racing today, of course, a year on, and a whitish gate. I spoke to you on the phone during the week. You were fingers crossed to try and get a good gate. How do you analyse this one?
Well, at first when the barrier came out, I was pretty concerned that we're out of play. The nominations looked like they were going to be a very strong race, but then when the barrier came out, barrier 11, I thought, oh God, we probably can't run her again. We keep drawing bad gates. It's going to be dry. But then once we had a good look at the field, we noticed that the speed was pretty steady early. It looks like there's no real leader except for probably the top weight. So she has been jumping well lately. and she just comes out the back here. And we thought over 1,500 the tempo might be that genuine, so we might go forward with her if she jumps well enough. You listening? Yes. And go forward and maybe go across with the leader, you know. If that happens, then, you know, she's got to be a huge chance because she's a class horse in the race. The only thing is that all of her form has been on pretty heavy tracks, and most of her wins have been when she's been able to get the last 600 run in and, you know, 36, 37, 38 in the slipper even. So slow last sectionals in a race, which is indicative of a heavy track. But now we've been racing on dry tracks. She's going to bite me in a minute. She's got to run 33, and it's just, you know, completely out of her range. You're going to take these slippers off my arm. So, you know, she's been working up to a win. I know it's hard to sort of to get a gauge so far because we've had to ride her back so far in a couple of races that she's been in sprints, ridden back. So up to the 1,500, ridden up close to the speed, I think she's going to be a great chance. So today we know where we're going. We were really hoping that the autumn would bring the usual Easter rain, but this year we've got a drought.
Yeah, that's the thing. Brenton Abdullah, I should say, said himself that since her, you know, great 2-year-old year, she's just continued to draw these outside gates. And of course, now we've got these dry conditions down here. What are you thinking her campaign looks like beyond this weekend? Is she likely to head north?
Yeah, that's definitely the plan, to head to Brisbane, but she'll have one more run in a fortnight, the Vinery Stud Stakes over 2,000 metres, the Group 1, and hopefully we get that weather we've been looking for then. If we didn't run today, then the whole program's out. We're looking at going to Brisbane for something, and there's not a real lot for 3-year-old fillies up there anyway. She gives the indication she'll run further. She likes to relax. She's strong when you need her. She's furnished into a beautiful filly. She's a much stronger filly than last time we spoke before the slipper. And you know, hopefully we see her put her best foot forward today and encourage us to go around again in a fortnight over the 2,000. And if she runs well enough there, we'll reprogram. But we're sort of at the fork of the road this weekend.
Yeah, well, I was just talking to we were talking to Michael Friedman, and I had the unique opportunity to chat with him quickly after he'd won a couple of years ago, and same thing with you last year in you know, the grandstand at Rose Hill, and you had a smile as big as Luna Park. Let's reflect on what happened that day, because I'd actually interviewed Brenton Avdulla that week. He'd had the big fall. It had every sort of angle of a Hollywood story, that one.
Yeah, look, it started off, this little filly was, you know, won a maiden at Randwick, and then she just kept winning, and she just put it all together. And I actually had Sir Jarden going pretty well at the time as well. He won the Todman fortnight from the slipper, so I had 2 great chances. She won the Sweet and Brace, which was 3 weeks from the slipper. She had that 3-week break going into it. There was a bit of a question mark over that. Then, obviously, Jason Collett had a decision to make which one he was going to ride, so he chose the Colt. And Brenton was lucky enough to not have a ride in the slipper at that point, and he got on her, and first ride in the race for her, and he wins the Golden Slipper. So, you know, he got knocked down going to both horses, got into a bit of a scrimmage going in the first turn at the 600, 700 metre mark, and she was the one that came through it unscathed. She was able to get rails runs all the way, and you know, one of the best wet trackers I've ever saddled up outside of Sheila Rain, I'd imagine, and got the job done on the day. And poor old Sir Jarden was still trying to get out of trouble at the 100 metre mark. So it was hard to watch the race, because the 700 I thought was going to run last, both horses, because I went to the race pretty confident I had one of these was going to win. And at the 700 I was thinking, this has been a waste of a whole year, like you're out of play, but she just came from the clouds and it was an amazing win.
Yeah.
She's joined us on our show a few times, this filly of yours, and she's always so very well behaved. Now, speaking of well behaved, we've got some beautiful vision. I spoke to you about this earlier in the week, Gary, of you and your son Harper at the sales. It's the next generation of Portelli coming through. This must be so special to take him out and about and show him what Dad does at work.
Yeah, it was, Julie. You know, he's got to an age now, he's 11 now, and he's starting to take a lot of interest in what Dad does. Goes to track work most Saturday mornings with me up at, you know, 3:30 in the morning. We go to track work, and he might go to races with me every now and then. But it was good to take him to the sales and show him what we're looking for when we're buying yearlings. And he lasted a few hours, like an 11-year-old at the horse sale. It was a long day for him, but it was great footage. We had no idea that the cameraman was following us around, so it was raw and it was funny, we're driving home from the sales that afternoon. He said, "Dad, I had a great time. I really enjoyed that today, and I'd like to do more of that." So for me, it was quite humbling, because you always hope that your son's going to follow in your footsteps. Whether he does or not, I'm not sure, but you know, I can only show him what we do, and if he loves it, he can go for it. For me, it's not a job; it's a lifestyle, and I wake up every morning looking forward to whatever challenge sort of it brings. But just love our horses, and if he can have the love of horses like I do, then that's all we can ask.
Yeah, I know you've got a couple of shares and a couple of yearlings there, so if people want to contact Portelli Racing, they get a part of the racing dream that you are living, my friend. Good to have you on the show.
Thanks very much, guys.
Thanks, Gary. When it comes to famous surnames in racing, Cummings certainly sits right there at the top.
Yeah, absolutely, Jules. Right up there. Bart paved the way. Now it's Anthony and his sons. And there's little doubt the superstar, the absolute Broadway act, is James Cummings, of course. Trained some of the best in the business for Godolphin. He had another wonderful day last Saturday, and I caught up with him not long after Cylinder won in the 2-year-old race.
Platinum Jubilee still in front. Cylinder's knuckling down now. Cylinder goes to Platinum Jubilee, and Cylinder went home best.
James Cummings, great to have you on Racing Dreams. And Cylinder, that was an outstanding win. Silver Slipper now in this race here, very, very impressive.
Thanks, Tim. He was. He was sitting outside the lead there in a race that was run to suit Red Resistance and Cylinder. But Red Resistance has proved to be one of the toughest 2-year-olds so far this season to really get on terms with, let alone get past. And Cylinder was able to just tank up on the outside of that impressive 2-year-old Red Resistance, and look, he beat him 3/4 of a length. So it's a horse race in 2 weeks, and Red Resistance, among others, were going to be very difficult to beat. In the Golden Slipper, there's a lot of pressure, and you really want run of the race stuff. But I think we're well and truly cooking with gas with this horse. He's a Silver Slipper winner, a Todman winner. They're A-grade 2-year-old lead-up races for the Slipper, and he's by a champion. He's by a champion sire, Exceed and Excel, out of a Street Cry mare who's undefeated this campaign, and he's going to go into the race full of confidence.
It's shaping as a fantastic field, isn't it? I know we've seen some wonderful slippers in the past.
It is, and it's an interesting year because the form has been shared around. There are maybe six or eight 2-year-olds that could get up and win the race, and that can't quite be said of the Golden Slipper every year. Sometimes the winners 2 weeks out or 3 weeks out are so dominant that they're just the one, and it's not quite the case this year. But I dare say Cylinder's got to be right up there amongst the top 3 big guns, and look, there's a little bit to play out, but we'd have to admit we're delighted with the position we're in right now with Cylinder this far out from the race.
What about Animo? When Animo finished second in the Golden Slipper, did you think he'd ever become what he's become today?
Well, he won the Todman a couple of years ago, and he was just really flying, but had that entire look about him like there was going to be more to come. He's out of an Oaks winner, although he's by Street Boss, who's a 6-7 furlong sprinter. He's got a far more classic look about him, Animo, and so we targeted the Caulfield Guineas and the Cox Plate very strongly. 4 runs in the spring as a 3-year-old, got back there 12 months later, having just been beaten a nose, and claimed the race as favourite, 4th up, and was too strong for the rest. So a deserved result for Animo in a way, given the 12 months he had and the 6th length win he had in the Rosehill Guineas in the meantime. But he's just a truly great horse, and it's been an absolute pleasure seeing him return for yet another top campaign, and being 2 out of 2 so far, winning the Apollo Stakes and the Chipping Norton Stakes last weekend.
Group 1 win, number 8 for the great Animo, destroys them in the Chipping Norton.
Animo will only race a couple more times?
He will. We like the idea of running him one more time in March on Golden Slipper Day, and we'll run him in April, and then he's got 10 weeks from the Queen Elizabeth to the Queen Anne, We like the look of the Queen Anne because it's a fast mile, it's up the straight. It wouldn't be impossible that we nominate him for the Prince of Wales as well, but any race we attempt at Royal Ascot is going to be incredibly difficult. It is a monumental achievement, and take nothing away from the Miss Andretti takeover target, Black Caviar and Nature's Strip horses that we've been able to produce from Australia, Schleizier. It's huge that they can go and do that, but those horses were all sprinters, and he's going over there to try to tackle some of those Europeans at their own game. Harada Sun was able to win the Queen Anne, but he was trained by Aidan O'Brien at the time, and he had a lead-up run in the UK. So a big challenge for the horse, and we've not been frightened of giving him a challenge in the past. So it'll be thoroughly interesting for all of the fans of Animo, but a proud moment for us to give him the opportunity to prove he's up to the task.
Away goes Animo now from Hinge. They're followed then by Moonga. Fangirl rattling home, but Animo launches his autumn assault in great style, beating Hinged and Fangirl rattling home.
Oh, very nice.
Talk about continuing the family legacy. I mean, James is just doing so incredibly well, and that Animo chapter, seeing it come to an end in Ascot, could be pretty special.
Yeah, and I think the next chapter will be interesting as well, the next part of Animo's career.
Yeah, for sure. Well, stay with us. We are turning pink for a purpose. Today's ladies' lunch at Rose Hill, raising funds to support the McGrath Foundation.
As we've mentioned a few times today on the program, the Autumn Racing Carnival begins in Sydney with the Ladies' Day at Rose Hill Gardens.
So Rose Hill will turn pink for a purpose as the Australian Turf Club and McGrath Foundation unite to raise funds at the Pink Fashion Lunch.
For me to be part of the Pink Fashion Lunch is very important. I lost my big sister to breast cancer in November of last year. And for me, I just want to do as much as I can now to support anything related to breast cancer. And I've seen what McGrath Foundation do, and their breast care nurses are angels.
Getting diagnosed, like the initial words coming out of the oncologist's mouth, it's like you're hit by a bus, and all of a sudden your whole life turns upside down. My whole outlook on life has changed, and I just want to if I can make one other person's journey easier or less lonely, or make them more fearless, then I feel like I need to do that. That's my mission, that's my path. Can't imagine going through it without my nurses. My nurses picked up my pieces daily. They held my hand daily and were my most solid and biggest support system. And I want everyone to have one. Everyone deserves one.
So it's going to be such a special day to be a part of. I can't wait. It is a day of incredible food, fashion, a sea of pink. If you haven't got your tickets, get your tickets ASP. They're going to sell out so fast.
Yeah, of course, head to the McGrath Foundation website if you can make a donation as well. It is an incredible cause, and it's good to see Donnie teaming up with the ATC there to put on this lunch today. It'll be fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. And the McGrath Foundation, since it began with one breast care nurse to the numbers now well over 100, moving towards 200, I think, the latest numbers, without quoting exact figures, but the people suffering from breast cancer and their families see the breast care nurses as angels, and particularly in regional and rural areas, so important. So doing a great job. If you can contribute in any way, please do.
Yeah, there are many moving parts in the world of thoroughbred racing, as we know. All participants need to follow the procedures correctly, or they might find themselves in front of the steward.
Yeah, it's a bit like going to the principal's office, it really is. Now, there is a new Chief Steward at Racing New South Wales, Steve Railton, so I thought I'd pop in for a chat.
Red Resistance trying to fight back. He can't. Cylinder too good. Good tough performance. Cylinder beat Red Resistance.
So Steve, big role, and you're following the footsteps of some very highly esteemed people like Ray Murray and Mark Van Gestel just before you, and many others, John.
Yeah, John Schreck, yeah, the Racing New South Wales and Racing in New South Wales has been very fortunate over the years to have guys of the calibre of John Schreck and Ray Murray and Will Adderley, Mark, who have all done a wonderful job and have serviced the industry particularly well, and have really set the industry up well by training and mentoring a good crop of stewards that have come through to supervise the industry.
Absolutely, and it's a big gig, isn't it? I know through Racing Dreams over the past few years, because we get out to country meetings and regional meetings and provincial meetings, and we're talking the whole state of New South Wales.
Yes, well, 120 plus racetracks. It's a big state as far as racing goes. Many thousands of participants, and race meetings to not just the metropolitan. Obviously, a lot of focus is on the bigger race meetings in the metropolitan area, but it's just as important from an integrity and safety aspect that we supervise race meetings across the state appropriately. I think on Golden Slipper week, I think it was 18 race meetings to be run that week, so probably 1,500 odd runners in that week alone. So it shows you the depth of racing in New South Wales.
Now, plenty of people are at the racetrack for all sorts of reasons. We've got jockeys, we've got trainers, we've got punters, we've got people doing all sorts of jobs there at the racetrack through the Australian Turf Club and other organisations. What is the role? For those that are watching the show and don't really understand the role of stewards, can you explain that for us?
Well, I suppose our role has a dual function, both from an integrity and a safety aspect. We're there to supervise the race meeting. We're a bit like the umpire with football. You like to be in the background and not be on the front pages as far as any controversial protests or anything. But of course, our role from an integrity point of view, it's being a betting-driven industry. It's extremely important that people have confidence in the product, so that when races are run, that horses are given every opportunity to win, and that from a drug perspective, that all horses are there's a good range of tests that are conducted on a broad number of horses to ensure the integrity of the contest. And of course, from a safety point of view, from a safety and welfare, obviously the horse is the cornerstone of the industry, so we have a vital task to ensure the welfare of the horse, and just as importantly the safety of the participants, the jockeys. It's an inherently dangerous sport, so we've got to ensure that whilst riders are competitive, there's a distinction between competitive riding and safe riding, so that everybody goes home safely at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Now, you've seen a lot of it around the world. You worked in Hong Kong for a long time. We're talking best of the best here, aren't we? We're talking best practice.
Yeah, racing in New South Wales is extremely strong. It's recognised worldwide. As you mentioned, I was fortunate enough to work in Hong Kong for nearly a dozen years, and it was a wonderful experience. But to come back to racing in New South Wales a couple of years ago has been refreshing for me, as far as coming back to see a different aspect of racing. But it's so strong, the racing here, from the 2-year-old racing through the 3-year-old classics, and it's also in the time that I was away to see how racing has developed across the state. The rewards and riches that are there for participants statewide, it's quite extraordinary.
Yeah, absolutely unbelievable when you think of the country championships and the big dance and the little dance and other races that have evolved in that time, like the Everest, like the Golden Eagle and many others, and the Golden Slipper, of course, has been there for quite some time, and we're not far away from watching that. Look, finally, it's just a great industry. It's a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to a big, big autumn, of course. Autumn and spring in New South Wales is no place you'd rather be.
No, racing is fantastic, and when I was in Hong Kong, the international racing is excellent, but to come back to have experienced 2-year-old racing, the Golden Slipper coming up, it's just each week there's new discussions about what horse is going to be competitive in the Slipper, and then of course the 3-year-old classics and the open age races. Overall, it's just exciting, and even though I've got the role in the regulatory function, I'm a racing tragic like anybody else, and I'm just fortunate to have a front row seat when I get to the races on the Saturday.
Yeah, and racing dreams, as we say, they do come true. Thanks, Steve, and congratulations on the new role.
Thanks, Tim. Thank you.
Yeah, good guy. Thanks, Steve. Thanks for giving us your time. Now, Julie, your dad needs to listen to this next segment because he likes Brad Gray's
Dad,
tips,
if you're sitting at home, stick around now because Brad Gray's coming up, so you don't have to ask me for his tips. They're coming up next. After this break, you will have all of the day's racing, Group 1 racing returning to Rosehill Gardens, and Brad will have your tips up next.
Oh, it's a huge day at Rosehill Gardens. I could just see myself there having a pie and a cold libation of Group 1 racing.
Oh, I can't wait for a cold libation. The sun is shining too. The track is looking good. Group 1 racing is at Rosehill Gardens today. Autumn Carnival kicks off. That means we've got to cross live to Brad Gray. Check out how Brad is. Good morning to you, Brad. Looking dapper.
A male model from Miranda, ladies and gentlemen. Today's the last chance.
Yes.
Oh, you're looking
yes.
You and Ray Thomas, I tell you what, you'll be on the catwalk soon. What about this last chance for the Golden Slipper hopefuls?
Yeah, good morning, guys, and good morning to Mr. Snook out there as well. Apparently I've got a fan, but yeah, it's a last chance dance, isn't it, for a couple of these 2-year-olds. So historically, the Pago and the Magic Knight doesn't tend to provide too many Golden Slipper winners. So Kiyomichi did buck that trend back in 2019, but prior to that, you had to go a long way back, and the same can be said for the Colts and Geldings. 2005 was the last Golden Slipper winner that the Pago did provide. So I guess there is history to buck there, but we've got a pretty handy couple of fields, don't we? So particularly with the fillies, where you've got the likes of Steel City, who was a little bit unlucky in the Blue Diamond last start. I've gone with her in the fillies division. I guess if she wins this, yeah, it's all systems go towards the Golden Slipper, because she's got those terrific form lines around the likes of Red Resistance, Learning to Fly, who we know are a couple of the top seeds in the Golden Slipper. Blanc de Blanc, she's going to need a little bit of luck from the wide gate. And I've got a bit of a roughie for you guys in that race as well. So the fillies division, the Magic Knight, Untouchable Legend. Now, she's still a maiden. I guess so is Steel City, but she had the one run at Canterbury, and she was fantastic covering ground. So if you're having a trifecta or a first 4, include her. But on top, Steel City, Untouchable Legend, the best roughie. And in the Colts and Geldings division, I've gone with a bit of a roughie here as well, Godzilla, for Peter and Paul Snowden. So hopefully he's the one that's screaming down the finish, or down the middle of the track there at big odds, because I know he's going to be better as he gets out over the 1,400 metres and beyond, but he promises to be really strong late, and I loved his run in Queensland on debut.
Just staying on the topic of the 2-year-olds, we had Michael Friedman on the show a little bit earlier, and we asked him about this year's field, how it's starting to shape up, and he says he doesn't think there's really any standout at this point in time, whereas in previous years there has been a 2-year-old that stood out heading into the Slipper.
Yeah, I tend to agree, actually, Jules. So you haven't got that 2-year-old that's really come out and put a field away by 3 or 4 lengths and stood up and said, well, he or she is clearly the horse to beat. So I think it's fair enough the way the market's got it at the moment. Cylinder is the top seed. He was a good winner last week, and I guess the exciting thing about that Godolphin-trained horse is that every time we see him, he just gets that little bit better, so he's still on that upward trend. I wouldn't jump off Red Resistance. I know Annabelle Neesham and the team with Learning to Fly are saying, well, what have we done wrong to lose top seed at the moment? She just keeps winning, so that's a nice trait to have, a horse that knows how to find the line.
We are talking about the Everest. I am changing tack here slightly. Last week's challenge, and that was a fantastic finish with Eduardo on passive aggressive, and Giga Kick, after not getting out of the gates, finished brilliantly. And the Newmarket today, we're seeing some fantastic races, aren't we? As our appetite is getting ready for the spring.
Yeah, a week's a long time in racing. Haven't quite recovered from Eduardo. I don't know how he lost, to be honest. Just stick his nose out, or was it just a whisker? Yeah, anyway, but yeah, the Newmarket, yeah, fantastic field. I wish I win. How good is he? We don't know. He's completely untapped. Marzu is down there, and the fact that Marzu is a double-figure odds chance, I think, speaks to the depth of the race. Of course, we'll see Private Eye switch back to Sydney for the TJ Smith. So the depth of the sprinting ranks at the moment is in a good, solid areas, I guess, at the moment, you could say, because Nature Strip's still there lurking in the background. So, yeah, we're in a good spot at the moment as far as the depth of the sprinting ranks in the country go.
Race 8 today here at Rosehill Gardens, the Coolmore Classic. Of course, the first of the Group 1s of the Carnival. Who are you liking?
Yeah, it's not an easy start for the fillies and mares, handicap conditions. I think there's going to be a few varying opinions going around this race today, but I'm with Hope in Your Heart for Kerry Parker. Now, we're talking about Learning to Fly in terms of her ability to get her nose down when it counts. Well, this mare has that same trait. So Hope in Your Heart has won 4 of her past 6, and not by big margins. The biggest margin, in fact, was 0.7 of a length, and that was last up in the Guy Walter Stakes, which has been a key form reference for this. So There looks to be good speed on paper. She'll just camp midfield, blend in at the right time, and I think around that $8, $9 price, I think there's enough in that. I know you can look at her weight and say, well, are these fillies and mares right down the bottom, you're 51, you're 52 kilos, carrying too much of a light weight? But you look at recent history, the past 6 winners of the Coolmore have carried 55 kilos or more. So it's a race where the cream does rise to the top as far as class goes.
Yeah, and Arthur Snook, Jules' dad, loves the roughies, mate. Give us some roughies, bro.
Of course, I've got a few here as well, and they all go bang, 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 races 1, 2 and 3. So race 1, Shopmaker in the midway. After a few scratching, he has trimmed up a little bit, but Nathan Doyle, he's got a handle on these midway runners at the moment. I think he's there to run a big race. That's Shopmaker. Race 2, Godzilla. We've already spoken about him in the Pago. And race 3, Attractable. Only a field of 6. He is the rank outsider in the field, but around $10, $11. I do like the depth of his Melbourne form line. So a dry track certainly suits him. Yeah, he'll just be smoking the pipe in behind. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him get into the money.
Just quickly before we let you go, we'll bring that graphic up for the day. Can you just talk us through your best bets quickly again as well, please?
Yeah, the only one we haven't touched on yet is the best. So that's race 9, Bandersnatch. So he should just park in behind the speed. He's around $6 or $7 himself, which I think is a really good gamble. Rose Hill, 1,500 metres, holds no fears, and I think he's found the right race today. So I think it's a day where you can play a little bit wide, and a couple of those lob will be in the money.
Hopefully we'll see you out there at Rose Hill for Racing Dreams next week. Will you be my partner?
Absolutely, I will. It would be an honour. We'll share a pie and we'll get a creaming soda as well.
Oh, I don't think he shares, Brad.
Yeah. We'll get 2 pies, maybe 3 pies. Brad, we'll see you next week. The male model from Miranda will be out in the Golden West. Thank you to our sponsors, of course, Racing New South Wales, Steve Ralton, brilliant. I'm heading to Arrowfield this week to speak to that former sprinter, John Freya. Can't wait for it.
And, of course, we'll be live at Rosehill Gardens next week. Can you believe it is already Golden Slipper time? We will see you 9 o'clock next Saturday morning.
Catch you then.